Hello guys, Survival Tech Nord here. This is lesson 1 in a new series called Survival Comms Basics. The goal of this series is to give you all the information you need in a minimal yet easy to understand format. If you're serious about building an effective communication strategy for SHTF or disasters, then please do follow along and interact with us in this series. With that said, let's get started. Every survival-minded person or group needs a way to get news and information or communicate with friends and loved ones in the event of SHTF or a disaster. The confusing part is understanding what type of communications one actually needs for a specific type of scenario. With that said, there's a lot of confusions on YouTube channels and forums on the internet which are telling people what type of communications they need. And to be honest, this is when most people start scratching their heads and getting confused. The simple reality is, in a survival or disaster scenario, there's only 3 basic goals we try to achieve with communications: getting news, weather, and other relevant information, staying in touch with friends, family, and our communities, and of course it's important to understand what's happening around us. Did you catch that, guys? Here's the breakdown. Get news, weather, and information, staying in contact with friends or family, and identifying any danger in your area. Let's talk about the different sources for news, weather, and information. Our ability to collect news, weather, and information about the environment around us is critical to our survival, because we base most of our decisions on the information that we have at the time. For this reason, we put news, weather, and information at the top of our priorities. But then we need to ask ourselves, what is the most reliable means of collecting news and information? Some people would argue that in a large urban center, the answer would be television. It is an option if it's working, but our focus is primarily radio. From this point forward in the series, when I say communications, I'm talking about radio communications. Radio communications can be broken down into 3 segments: local, regional, and global. Local radio is what we traditionally call FM radio. And as you might expect, FM radio is designed to serve metropolitan and urban areas. AM radio is more regional in nature. Like its FM radio counterpart, it can provide local information, but its main role is to provide news, information, programming on a larger scale to a larger regional area. Shortwave, like its AM counterpart, can provide regional coverage, but few people, if anyone, would hear it. So shortwave radio's primary goal is to provide international or global coverage of news and other programming. By now, you should have noticed 3 things. Local FM radio is going to be the easiest to access, but also the most likely to be affected by the same situation that's affecting you. AM radio is also easy to access, in many cases has greater range than its FM counterparts, but its biggest problem these days is that most people don't know anything about it. Shortwave broadcasts can cover an entire country or continent, most likely won't be affected by whatever's affecting you, but a specialized receiver is required, as well as a learning curve if you don't know anything about it. So now that I've given you the answers, let me tell you what the question was. As we said earlier, the average person or group has 3 basic survival comms goals or needs. And that was to get news, weather, and information, to stay in contact with friends or family, and to identify any dangers in the local area around them. So the question is, how are we going to get adequate news and information? The answer is by using a specialized radio, which receives local FM, AM broadcasts, and shortwave radio as well. And now you see the point of this video. Hopefully you also understand why I took the long way around to get you here. You see, 99% of the time, most of the things that we can classify as SHTF are going to be blizzards or man-made disasters, Mother Nature, whatever. Certainly some parts of infrastructure might go down, but there's always going to be someone, somewhere, transmitting information with the radio. In the upper right corner, you see I've written there the specifications or the requirements for your first survival radio. So of course, you already know it should have FM broadcast band, AM broadcast band, and shortwave bands. But whatever radio you choose, make sure that it's internally powered, so it's got internal batteries. If possible, make sure you can charge the internal batteries externally with an external charging port, a USB port, something like that. And if you don't remember anything else, remember this. If your radio is too big, too heavy, if you can't carry it, it's of no use to you if you need to bug out. So size and portability are critical. Alright everyone, let's lock down this video. You've learned a few very important things in this video. The 3 basic comms needs or goals, the strengths and weaknesses and differences of FM, AM, and shortwave radio, and the basic requirements you should look for when choosing your own emergency survival radio. But having the radio is absolutely useless if you don't know anything about it or how to use it. As with all things worth doing, you'll need to develop a certain amount of aptitude in order to effectively use the equipment. So hopefully you'll be patient, follow along with the series, and get the aptitude that you need to build a unique comms strategy for yourself. Next video coming up in the series, guys, is item number 2 on our comms goals list, keeping in touch. If you didn't know it already, it was Canadian Prepper who gave me the idea for this series. So if you haven't done so already, please head over there, check out what he's got going on, and subscribe. Alright guys, let's lock it down. If you found this video entertaining or informative, please give me a thumbs up. And if you find it in your heart to do so, share it with someone who you think might enjoy seeing it. Alright guys, rock and roll. Ciao.